Bonjour. Today we will have a presentation on using reflexive verbs in command form. By the end of the presentation, I would like for you to be able to correctly use commands with non-reflexive and with reflexive verbs. What are commands? They're used in English to tell people what to do, and I provided 3 examples here of what they are. Get up, go to bed, and don't put on makeup. How do you use non-reflexive verbs in command forms? Well, for your IR and your RE verbs, we have the same set of rules, and I've chosen to use the verb choisir, which means to choose. If you're talking to one person, you're going to use the to form. Okay? And so you would simply take this verb choisir, drop your ending, and then you would conjugate that verb in the to form. Okay? Once you drop your IR, you're left with this as your stem, and you put your IS. That is the to form of choisir. So choisi. You're telling one person choose. If you're talking to more than one person, then you're going to use the vous form of the verb. Again, you're going to drop your IR. You're left with this as your stem, and you simply add your ISSEZ as your ending. That's the vous ending. Choisissez. Choose. You're talking to more than one person. Lastly, if you're including yourself in the command, there is no separate word for let's. No separate word for let's. So you would use the new form of the verb. Again, you drop your IR, left with this as your stem, and you're going to simply add your new ending, which is ISSONS. Choisissons. Let's choose. Again, there is no separate word for let's. Okay, in RE example, vendre is to sell. So again, when you're talking to one person, use the to form. You would drop your IR, or rather your RE, and you're left with this as your stem. And then you would simply add your to ending, which is the S. So vont. If you're talking to more than one person, again, you use the vous form, drop that RE, and add EZ. Lastly, if you're including yourself, again, you use the new form. So you drop your RE, use that as your stem, and add the ONS ending for vendons. So we have vont, vendez, vendons. ER verbs are different than your IR and your ER verbs. Instead of using the to form when talking to one person, here we're going to use the EOL form. I know it doesn't make much sense, but let's just go with it. So you're going to drop your ER. You're left with this as your stem. And then you simply would add your ending for the ELL form, which is an E. Okay? If you look back on the previous slides, you'll notice it ended in an S, but that was with the to form. We're using the ELL form, so it must end in an E. So parle. There's no change when it comes to these two components. Okay? If we're talking to more than one person, you still use the vous form. You still drop your ending, your ER, take your stem, and add EZ. When you're including yourself, you still use the new form. Drop your ER, take your stem, add the OS. Let's speak. Again, there is no separate word for let's. Parlons means let's speak. Okay, now take all of that you just learned, and we're going to apply that knowledge to your reflexive commands, and we're going to add a step. Okay, so if your reflexive verb ends in IR and RE, same rules apply for both of those endings. When you're talking to one person, use the to form of that verb. Okay, so we would use this endormir part. Okay, it is irregular, so it's one we had to simply memorize. Okay, so endort is how you would conjugate the verb s'endormir using the to form. Okay? And then when you actually conjugate this verb, you would have tondor, right? And that's where we got this part from. Okay? Now, when you're doing a command using a reflexive verb, you must have that hyphen. Okay? After your hyphen, you need a reflexive pronoun. Well, you can't put T apostrophe. Okay? Instead, your TE and T apostrophe are going to change to toi when you're doing commands in the affirmative. Okay, I'll repeat that. When you're doing affirmative commands, you must change the T or the T apostrophe to toi, T-O-I. Okay, that's where the toi came from. On dort toi. When you are talking to more than one person, you still use the vous form of that verb. So we had vous endormez. And I apologize for my pen. Vous endormez. That is an E. Okay. So we take this endormez and we write that first. Then we have our hyphen. And then we use our reflexive pronoun. Vous does not change. It stays the same. If you are including yourself, you still use the nous form. Okay? And so you would have nous endormons. Right? Nous endormons. I apologize for my handwriting. Okay, so then we would put our endormons first, followed by our hyphen, and then you need your reflexive pronoun, which is nous. That stays the same. So endormons nous. Let's go to sleep. Again, there is no separate word for let's. Okay, same thing with your RE verbs. Talking to one person, use the tu form. Okay, we would have had tu te mets en colère. So we're going to use the mais followed by your hyphen, and then this te changes to toi. Okay, and your en colère does not change. Mets-toi en colère. Be angry. When you're telling more than one person, you're going to use that vous form. So, mettez-vous en colère, because we had vous mettez. So, we change the order and we put our mettez first. And then we follow that with a hyphen. And then we used our reflexive pronoun, vous. Lastly, when you're including yourself, let's be angry. Again, no separate word for let's. Okay, it would have been nous mettons en colère. We get angry in a normal conjugation. So we're going to use mettons first, followed by your hyphen, and then you use your reflexive pronoun nous. Mettons-nous en colère. ER verbs. Okay, we learned previously that with your ER verbs, talking to one person, you must use the ELL form. The same is true with reflexive verbs. Okay, so you've got relaxe-toi, because we had ELL se relax, because we had to use the ELL form. So that relax goes there. You have your hyphen. Now I know we use the ELL form, so you may want to try to change that se into here, but you can't use that se. Okay, you're not using the se. The only thing you want from the ELL form is this relax. That is it. You must still use the you form of the reflexive pronoun, and that will be toi. Okay. Commanding more than one person, you're using vous. So vous relaxez. I apologize for my handwriting. Okay, so we have our relaxez, we have our hyphen, and then we have our reflexive pronoun of vous, relaxez-vous. Lastly, when you're including yourself, you use the nous form. So nous relaxons becomes relaxons, your hyphen, and nous. Let's relax. Again, no separate word for let's. Now let's do the checking your understanding. At this time, you may pause the presentation to allow yourself enough time to complete these answers. You must do these in order to get full credit on your Cornell notes. These are your answers. Okay, vrai ou faux, il faut corriger les fautes. If it's false, you got to correct the answers. All right, we had finissant for the first one, so we had to change that command form to fini. Why? We're talking to one person. Okay, Jean, one person. Numéro 2, that one was right. There were no problems. We're talking to two people, so you would use the vous form. With number 3, we had to change it to rendons because of our possessive adjective right here, no, which means our. So we had to change the command to the we form. Let's visit our grandparents. And then our last one was true. Regarde la télé avec moi. There's nothing wrong with that. You're talking to one person. Regarder is an ER verb, so you had to use the il form of regarder. Here's your last set of questions for your checking your understanding. Again, you may pause the presentation at this time. Okay, in the first one, we had lever, which was the vous form, but we only have one person, Jeanne. So you use the il form because lever is an ER verb. So that's where we got lev from. You still had to use toi. Okay, had to change the to toi. Claire et Hugo, those are two people. So you're telling them to get ready. So you had to use the vous form, préparer. Amusons-nous aujourd'hui, let's have fun today. There is no error in that sentence. And our last one, douche-toi. Okay, you're talking to one person. You've got the s'il te plaît, means please, talking to one person there. So you had to have the il form because doucher is an ER verb. Okay? Things to remember. Your RE and E, or rather your RE and IR verbs follow the same rules when you make commands. That's whether they're reflexive or non-reflexive. ER verbs, they must use the il form of the verb when you're commanding one person. Don't forget, you are not using subject pronouns when you make commands. Instead, you're using a reflexive pronoun in the actual verb portion. Okay? You have to have that reflexive pronoun. You also need to remember that te changes to toi in the command form. Also, T apostrophe will change to toi. And last but not least, you have to use a dash or a hyphen, that's this little guy right here, between your reflexive pronoun and your conjugation when you make your commands. If you have any further questions, please jot them down and bring them to class tomorrow, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Merci.